Okay, welcome to our 10th Sunoikis Digital Classics common session. Today we have Professor Anise Ferreira from the Universidade Estadual Paulista at Araraquara in the state of São Paulo in Brazil. And she's going to talk about keywords of war, follow the words in Thucydides. So this class is the first class of our last session of this Sunoikis Digital Classics course. And this session is about linguistic annotation, tree banking, and translation alignment. And so, in some way, Professor Ferreira, who teaches Greek in Araraquara, starts this section of the course exploring keywords for war in the text of Thucydides. So, Anise, if you want, you can start.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Can you see the
yes,
slide?
We can see the slides and we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks for being there and coming to the session. Hi, everybody. I can see who are in the session now, but first of all, I'd like to warn you that I'm not an expert in Thucydides' work, and I consider my talk as an experiment, a student work, dealing with keywords the simplest way possible. I accepted Nevin's suggestion for this common session because keyword extraction was one of the first things I learned to do in the digital world with the Greek text. In the context of applied linguistics with wordsmith tools in 2000. Can you see that second slide?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Why follow the words in Thucydides? Lately, Brazil has been devastated by consecutive cases of corruption, and the expression "follow the money" is on everybody's mind, and on mine too. So I decided to play with it a little bit in a more useful way. Hence, we will follow the words instead of money in Thucydides. First, I will quickly go over the concepts I'm using. There is some bibliography to be considered. Basically, Mike Scott's on keyness and keywords, and the stubs on keywords. This is the basic framework we use in applied linguistics, especially when Mike Scott, the developer of wordsmith tools, taught at the Catholic University of São Paulo as a visiting professor in the Applied Linguistics graduate course, where I used to work. I have to mention here too Jeff's paper on keyword extraction of Greek literary text, published in 2002. It's not there, but it's in the list of Purcell's bibliography references. First, I will explain my motivation, then present the exploration data using Pentecontetia as the target corpus, talk about keywords as lemmata and types, and the keywords relationships, and finally wrap up with some possible implications for annotated texts and data mining tools. Next, keywords definition. We have some definitions. Keywords are pointers to aboutness and or styles. They contribute to the search for units of meaning, are based in frequency and probability of words in target corpus in relation to another corpus, a bigger corpus called reference corpus. The principle, a word form repeated a lot within the text, will be more likely to be key in it when relatively compared with the frequency of a bigger larger corpus. Stubbs elaborates on three concepts of keywords coming from different academic traditions and the gap of words, text, and culture. It's largely accepted that those are related, but not quite clear how to put it all together. One of the traditions comes from corpus linguistics. It, I quote, provides a powerful model for communicative acts, which is firmly based on empirical facts and statistics, close quote. As he says, it's a bottom-up approach. I quote, the sense is statistical. Keywords are words which are significantly more frequent in a sample of text than would be expected, given their frequency in a large general reference corpus. You can detect textual collocates, semantic fields, and phraseology through automatic resources. End quote. He says about Scott, Mike Scott, open quote, a major merit of Scott's approach to keywords is that it provides an empirical discovery method based on frequency and distribution. Lists of keywords and phrases obviously differ in different text collections. Semantically related keywords are a good indicator of propositional content. Salient words and anagrams are identified but not more abstract phraseology, end quote. In the second tradition, one of cultural studies, keywords are associated with conceptual categories and there is no linguistic basis or a focus. Stubbs refers to the third tradition as the combination of phrasal units and cultural schemas where words don't correspond to their literal meaning within the phrases. It's also a corpus-based, corpus-driven approach. It's not easy to put these approaches together and study them simultaneously. However, my favorite model at this point comes from Broncar's socio-discursive interactionism framework. Its scheme can show empirically where language is, language in the middle, in relation to the psychological, linguistic, and sociological levels, where language itself is circumscribed by genre of texts and practical activities which interact by their turn with psychological level, promoting subject development. Since we only have access to subject tests and as empirical data, we need to have a means to analyze them. So I think it's an elegant way to put the language in the psychological, besides the psychological level, sociological level, and the levels of abstraction in language. So coming back to keyword status. Statistical keywords can be a starting point, as pointers, as tips of the icebergs to aboutness, to styles, to rhetorical characteristics, to linguistic patterns and idioms, and other things that can be revealed by math. But there is no fixed way to obtain and deal with them. Keywords are affected by reference corpus in ways not fully understood. My Brazilian colleague, Tony Berardo Sardinha, once tested reference corpus size and its influence in number of keywords using wordsmith tools. He works with modern language, English and Portuguese, and this experiment was carried out with English. He found out that with a reference corpus that is more than 5 times larger than the target corpus, the number of keywords does not change results significantly and is similar to 100 times larger. So keenness is the score of the keyword, and keenness is the context bound. The size of the context is a matter of choice. Different sized contexts need more investigation. So definite status for a whole set of keywords cannot be claimed. Why bother then? For me, extracting keywords was mainly focused on the didactic and pedagogical purposes and exploratory inquiries. If you could perceive aboutness and patterns through words and through sets of words, it would be easier to learn and read the original language. And it would allow you to compare different texts and authors at the same time, empirically, not just through subjective interpretations. I could test intuitions and hypotheses about the text, and it might even facilitate discovering aspects of the text that passed unnoticed during reading. Looking for patterns in Thucydides. The idea of this talk is to explore keywords as pointers to patterns in Thucydides, and pentacontextia as the target corpus. Keywords can be pointers, as I said, to concordances, clusters, collocates, and can also be related to specific categories that possibly lead to the genre of a text and its sequences. Automatic anagrams can lead to repeated expressions or idioms used by an author in a particular work. Next slide refers to reference corpus. Selecting texts for reference corpus can be a tricky issue for those who have limited access to computer resources. When dealing with modern language, it's easier to choose different kinds of tests for your reference corpus. You can find it in the internet, newspapers, database, lots of text in many languages. What are the options for Greek? First, I can put here TLG PDL. First, the TLG used to sell a license for the CD-ROM with the raw text in beta code. Now, in the web distribution, we have the statistics tool where the reference corpus is automatically determined as the entire available corpus, the database of TLG. I believe one can ask for the separate files for a particular research. But now you can, on the web, you can choose the target corpus as an author or his works. The web tools offer you as keywords the most overrepresented lemmata, the most underrepresented lemmata, and the most frequent word forms or types, or the most frequent lemmata. When you choose the most represented lemmata, you can access a graphic and the list of lemmata in relation to the entire corpus and to the same century of the target text. You don't have access to the lemma list or a stop word list. You are informed that a stop word list is used, but you don't know exactly which words were included in the list. As some of you must know, the frequency of words follows a pattern. Few words occur in the text in large quantities, and lots of words occur in fewer quantities or just once. In general, the few words which occur in large quantities are prepositions, conjunctions, articles, etc. There are formulas used in software to balance that feature of distribution. In order to begin to understand the extraction of keywords in ancient Greek literary texts, I suggest that article published by Jeffrey Cox in 2002. In Greek texts, Jeff recommends lemmatizing them, to use weighted frequencies to account for ambiguities, to generate customized stop lists to work with target texts larger than, he suggests work with target texts larger than 1,500 words. He also recommends to apply the algorithm in logical units of long works instead of to apply in the entire works as a target corpus. More recent texts say that any method of keyword extraction has benefits and drawbacks, and that linguistic features can be viewed as error correction in keyword extraction depending on the method. Well, I'm not able to argue about that. A stop list can be used to dismiss words considered inconvenient, that is, words that would interfere with the data. Anyway, when dealing with methods of keyword extraction used to calculate the probability of words in relation to a larger corpus, you will probably have larger quantities of the same expected grammatical words in both corpora. If in the target corpus a grammatical word is overrepresented, that can mean something. Well, the accessible services of software do all the math for us. It's useful to be informed about the methods adopted. The second PDL, you can the Perseus Digital Library. You can use the vocabulary tool of the Perseus Digital Library to get most frequent lemmata and the hierarchy terms of weighted score terms, which is its way to express keywords in relation to the entire corpus of PDL. If you want to choose the text to set your own reference corpus, you have to find the digital text separately, and you have to decide the size, genre, period. So where do you get them? Wherever there is an accessible database, right? Next slide, I will talk about Francesco's data on variant tools. In order to keep going with this experiment in time to have this presentation, I made use of Francesco's data on variant tools. He had the entire text lemmatized, divides the corpus, putting Pentecodetia text section in one file, and to see this text that was not part of Pentecodetia in another. I assumed then that the larger corpus could be considered the reference corpus. It's not easy to get a lemmatized corpus. Either you do it manually by heart or consulting a dictionary, or the Perseus morphology tool. Or else you can find a lemmatizer that works for an entire text and runs in a personal computer. That's the hard part. Normally, people have lemmatizers running on servers. The only one I know that works online is Eulexis, but you have to edit to delete the morphological analysis. As to Viant is a wonderful set of tools, but has its drawbacks. It has a summary window that shows some of the distinctive words comparing one corpus to another. However, when you click for more of the distinctive words, which would be the keywords, you just have the most frequent words in the corpus, which means in both documents in another window. Since I wanted to see what would happen with keywords of types and word forms, I tried my own method using text files of Thucydides and Pentacontatia on variant tools and another reference corpus using Untconc tool. So let's go see to TLG results. Most overrepresented lemmata. We have here the TLG results of most overrepresented lemmata in Thucydides, not Pentacontatia, because we can't divide the corpus using TLG. This is a TLG drawback, right? I found useful, though, the information on the graphic comparing the count of full corpus count, the entire TLG database, and the century count. Why is that? Because we have the keywords in this partial list that has no much difference in frequency from full corpus count and century count. What do you so we have, let's see here, the arrows point to the most conspicuous keywords: Athenians, ships, polis, Lacedaemonius, Proterus, I don't know. There is not a very big difference here. Poieo, as allies, ally Symmachus, Paz, Lego, to say. Lego is a strange keyword here. Polemos, war. And then megas, there is no big differences between full corpus and century count. Bulomai, not a big difference, but it's a keyword. Malum, I don't know. Hemi, and Hel 2. So this graphic made me doubt the importance as keywords of allos. Other gignomai become echo, have, poieo, to do, make, to make, megas, big, pass, all, to say, to wish, half. So, in fact, judging by the graphic, we could easily eliminate some words, right? I suppose. And this, I put here, Athenae. I checked that the lemma Athenae is a mistake of automatic lemmatization because it includes the forms of Athenians. So, next slide shows the most frequent word forms, also called types. That means we have the inflection, right? When we see the most frequent types and their inflections, the inflections used by Thucydides, considering the entire work, the genitive form of the word Athenians use more than nominative. It's not a big difference, but there is a difference. We'll see that in Pentacontatia, the nominative as a keyword has a higher kinesis score. So we have here Athenians in accusative and dative, besides nominative and genitive. Then we have ships in accusative, polycete in accusative and genitive, Lacedaemonians in nominative and genitive, allies in nominative and genitive, and the next in the line, we can't see in the graph, but there is in the list, would be Polemon. I add Polemon because it will appear in other lists. Here is a short list. We have the top key term, 50 key terms in Perseus Digital Library of Thucydides corpus. We can't separate parts of the corpus as target corpus, but I suppose it will be feasible, I don't know, because we have the URIs for sections. We don't have an interface for mining that in the vocabulary tool yet, but I think it will be possible one day. The same keywords are there with some differences. The presence of pronouns in first and second person called my attention. They don't show up in Pentacontatia. The repetition of word in the list is due to differences in meaning. We have different meanings for each chi here. So the tool is linked to the translations. But we can see the same words here. And there is a mistake. There's another mistake. There is caused, I suppose, by an error of automatic lemmatization. The verb simakeo, to be an ally or fight together, as a keyword instead of the noun allies, ally, as a lemma. And looking up the concordances in Thucydides corpus, the noun was counted in PDL, in the Perseus. The noun was counted together with the verb. And some prepositions here as keywords got my attention because they usually are followed by places, as we can see in the next slide. Right? Many place names and person name here in this list after the preposition. So it's easy to perceive the pattern for a pedagogical use. Next slide is a partial list. Sorry, this is not. My observation so far is that we have the keywords of the entire Thucydides work here so far, right? PGL and TLG. And we know that different books or sections of the same work of the same author can have different topics and or styles. Depending on your suspicion, hypothesis, or simple curiosity about the text, if you can't separate the corpus, you have a problem. Here we just want to see what happens. So it's an experiment, so it doesn't matter really. Next slide shows most frequent words in Francesco data. First, we have the most frequent and notable peaks across the corpus in both files. We see Athenians, ships, Lacedaemonians, many allies, war, wish, and ally and city. And you can see here the difference between the file with Pentacontatia and the file with the rest of the corpus to see this work. So And here I wrote the notable peaks in frequency across the corpus, and we have the verb to ish, be, or bulomai, big, polemos, war, simachos, ally, and poieo, to make. Now we have, next slide, the most distinctive words in target corpus of Pentecontetia, using Francesco data. Fewer words shows up because of that limitation of the software I told you about before. When we click on more words and more distinctive words, it only opens the entire frequency list of words in frequency. But we also have the words Athenians, ships, Lacedaemonians, allies, and to prevail or conquer. In terms of lemmata, we can find practically the same words in both the Pentecontetia section and the entire corpus in different quantities. So these two slides, 14 and 15, show the difference in frequency and keenness. I suppose the distinctive words can be considered as keywords with some score of keenness that we don't know which score is. Instead of showing the concordances of the keywords as lemmata, I thought the collocates would be more interesting or useful to analyze. So the slides 16 to 21 show the collocates of keywords displayed by variant tools with still data, Francesco data, with lemma. Both keywords and collocates based on lemma will result in higher probability of clustering, just because you have a larger number of elements grouped under the same lemma. This can change the statistics. However, in order to find a meaning for them, it will be necessary to check the keywords in context in their original inflected form. And variant tools give us a ratio that indicates the difference between the relative frequency of collocates near the keywords and the relative frequency of the collocates in the entire document. Higher positive values mean that the collocate is more closely associated with the keyword than the rest of the document. So the ratio seems to be an interesting number to help distinguish which word would be closer to the keyword and to the rest of the document. How to decide which number is, when to decide it's a good indicator or not, is a better indicator. When I don't have any other better criterion on a series of number, I use the median, which is a central measure based on rank, not an absolute value. So with the word polemos, war, we have the verb gatistemi, establish, the word medicos, Persian, Athenian, again, the verb gignomai, become, and Milesian, itomi, with more than 1 point ratio here of proximity. So I like to say that the PDF file has the link to the variant tool where you can find the data. I'm showing the image file here, so I can't show the link here through this image. Slide 17. With the word ally, the ratios are not very strong, but we have Athenians, the verb neoterizo, innovate, with the highest ratio. And then Hos, replied, Phocian, Hekastos, the preposition para, allos, other prepositions, pros and apo, and kainos, that person. Slide 18, we have sheep with low ratios of proximity, but a higher ratio with Athenians, again, and 3 prepositions. Then a low ratio with samos, see, to sail, to win, and the verb to array. In slide 19, we have the word Athenaios itself, the preposition preposition AP article and a particle, then megara, the verb to sail, the preposition is again to receive, the adverb secretly, see, fight, sits in from megara, way, and to win. Then in slide 20 we have the word Lacedaemonians, collocated with an article and a pronoun, an adjective phaneros, visible, to listen, the conjunction epe, when, the inflected verb said, the verb lead in war or believe, hegeomai, the name Pausanias, particle, preposition, battle, and where is it? Battle, the pronoun Corinthian, ally, and king. Then first the slide 21, yes. The collocates of polis, city, we have again an article, preposition, a particle, and not the verb to prepare, the noun ambassador, the verb to build a wall, to seize, the noun wall, preposition kata, and coordinator kai. To find the exact meaning, it's necessary to go to the keywords in context with inflected words, not the corpus with lemata, right? Here, the question.
Anise, can I interrupt you 1 second, because yes. I think that the previous slides were very interesting. I understand that maybe I don't know if they can follow, but this list of words is very interesting because you can see the combination of important words for the Pentacontaetia. So these lists make sense because well, if you know the history of the Pentacontaetia, the role of Athens, Sparta, the terms polis, city, then fleet, naus. So it's really, it's very interesting because you can see really the most important words together for the Pentacontaetia, for the history of these 50 years. So I like these slides because in a summary, in this list, you can really see the most important words to understand what happens in these 50 years. So the growth of the Athenian Empire, the role of the allies. For example, it's interesting to see the term naus and fleet with the Samos. Samos was one of the most important allies in the Delian League, as we have seen. So this make really a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's good to see that it works in with a text that we know, that you know.
Yes.
So you can check, and so you we can do that with text that we are not familiar with. So yeah, and you know that we can extract some relevant
Yes, these
words.
lists confirm, well, yes, what we know of the history of the Penteconte idea, but at the same time, what we can see is how Thucydides uses the language. So you can see that he's very specific. So I think, yes, we can see what we in some way already know, but to see these words together is something, well, new in some way, yes. Yeah. And of course, yeah.
It's another way to see to see the text.
Yes, yes, yes. to get a sense of it. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, I thank you. Oh, if you want to whenever you want to interrupt, please.
Yes, thank you.
So this slide is just to show it's a Voyant tool called clusters, and just to show how elegant the display of clusters on Voyant is. The cluster tools the cluster tool takes the entire corpus. Unfortunately, we can't see the separate files here in the clusters. But it is a dynamic image and shakes until the configuration is set. I don't know if you ever seen this working. The configuration is set, and you can move the little balloons to try which words you have as clusters. And when you put the mouse on the balloons, there is a number. Each cluster, each word cluster has a number. It's not because there are so many connections. It's not very easy to see, but it's very nice to watch. It's a way to visualize the clusters. But next, in the next slide, I did something different. So it's my own, on my own means to select another reference corpus in order to extract the keywords as types or word forms from Pentecotetia. I managed to find a lemma list and stopword list for ancient Greek from Annette von Stockhausen's GitHub, and the stopword list from Persil's Hopper too. So I loaded the reference corpus and the target corpus into EndConc software. I didn't think much about the reference corpus and chose 4 authors of Greek epic prose from different centuries: Xenophon, Aristotle, Diodorus Siculus, and Diogenes Laertius. The corpus should be big enough to reach a varied range of language and word inflections, since I was dealing with word forms and not lemmata. The keyness is automatically calculated using log likelihood method in this software. So the difference between the Pentecontetia corpus, the size of the corpus, and reference corpus is pretty big enough, I think. This next slide shows the word forms that appear up to rank 35 of keyness. When you deal with word forms or types, you are not only dealing with the vocabulary, but also the form in which the word is most used. The result has to be somewhat different from keywords based on lemmata, because you don't count a group of words together, right? You count each form, each type separated. In Voyant tools, I use the target corpus of Pentecontetia and the entire corpus of Thucydides, because I used Francesco's data. I tried to use the stopword list there and that I had, but the software crashed. It didn't accept it. Voyant tools didn't accept it. And the Anticonc worked with the lemma list I had, but there was not a lemmata of names in this list. But it was too heavy and it didn't work with the stop list. It didn't work well. So, but in this list, we can see Athenians in various forms, allies, Lacedaemonians, ships. What is different is a little with the verbs we have here. But now the ships are here. We have Athenaioi. And what? The verb here. The verb. The strateguntus being general, ekratesan, prevailed or conquered, stratiosan, wage war, helon, assisted, enikon, won, diephteran, destroyed. The specific tenses and modes, indicative and participle. The noun, yes?
These words are for the Pentecontaetia are.
Yes.
Yes. So again, it's a clear list. Well, the Athenians, of course, because they are the protagonists of the Pentecontaetia. The role of the allies, as I can see. Well, the verb strateguntos. So again, is a very useful. Then ekratesan. Then other place names and proper names. So again, is a clear list where you can see in a short list 50 years of Greek history. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's fun to see all together and ordered in some way, and to see that because the work is a very long work and has many books and sections, and we know that there are differences. I will talk about the difference between one book and another, one section and another, right?
Yeah.
And I think we can see some particular differences, not extensively here, but at least as a clue, a hint of the. So here we find many proper names. I think it's a very important names here too. The next slide.
And sorry, Anise, again, speaking of proper names, for those who know the Pentecontaetia, it's interesting the importance of the name of Themistocles. Usually this period of time is connected to Pericles, who is of course a protagonist, but the role of Themistocles for the fleet. And we discussed that with Francesco, and here you can see. So it's something, and this is something new. This is something you don't expect. So yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
This slide compares the results of word form fractions in TLG and Viant tools. So just to see if the difference using different tools here, because this is with the entire corpus. No, it's with Pentecontaetia, and here we have the most frequent word forms in entire Thucydides work, right? So in Viantus, I checked the higher frequencies of word forms of the Pentecontaetia, and this is word forms in the entire work. We have polemos, the different forms, polemon, polemos with accent, polemon. Slide 27 and 28, we have the collocates of word forms of war with the lemma frequencies. Also the frequencies of allies, the next one. So here we can see the proximity. This is the collocates with lemma, corpus, the corpus, lemmatized corpus, and here as a word form to see what would be different. But we should have we have polemon. Okay, because the tool gives the order of the raw frequency. That's why it repeats polemon here and polemon here, because it's in the decrescent order of frequency ratio. Then ximacon, the allies. In genitive, nominative, and accusative, which are the most. It's not showing up here. It's a problem here. Let me see. This is the concordances. Here we have the collocates with the lemmatized corpus, and here with the types, not lemmatized corpus.
Yeah.
So we have here neoterissusi here in so the ratio is different, but in the end the words appear as lemmata or type. And here's the concordance. The concordances of the main forms of allies in genitive, nominative, and accusative that were the forms. That's interesting because I said somewhere, I will say this later. Then we have the collocates of Athenae, the difference between lemmatized corpus and types. Then the Athenians, the other types of Athenians here, and ships, collocates of ships. To 30 to 34, I did this comparison, and what I see is that they are confirmed when you look at the various forms of the word. You have the lemmata in general, city, Lacedaemonian, the city here. Lacedaemonians, and this is the interface of Antconc. So, if we think of aboutness, the entire list of keywords point to it. We have the two main protagonists, Athenians and Lacedaemonians, and others like Phocians, Milesians, and Persians. Other places like Ithome and Samos. It confirms some expectations when you are familiar with the text. Roughly speaking, Athenians win, sail, have, receive, are in motion to some place, and Lacedaemonians perceive, listen, fear, believe, or lead. Both are associated with allies, of course, so there is no war without allies, right? Allies are allies are protagonists, mainly in the form of genitive, which should be examined. We have 14 from 30. 14 are genitives, 8 are nominative and accusative. One could find it curious that there is no dative form of the word ally. That's a thing too. With allies come falsions, hoplite, and to innovate. And the city comes with to prepare. The city prepares itself, builds wall, staken or sees, has walls and ambassadors. Those words are some of the keywords of the section of Pentecontetia in relation to either the entire Thucydides text or the other reference corpus. We can explore different aspects in the texts with keywords. In dialogues, the same in opinion verbs, personal pronouns in first and second person will be keywords if you extract keywords. An ethical work that has definitions can have nouns and the verb to be, abstract nouns, and the verb to be as keywords. And the deontic modalizations with verbs that mean it's necessary. Argumentative text will have conjunctions as keywords, verbs of opinion, the modal particle an. Once again, it's important to say that keywords can be extracted from different sections of work, chapters of books for comparisons. We know from many studies that same work of the same author have different styles or a predominant sequence, more descriptive, narrative, or argumentative. And there are linguistic elements that can display better. With Thucydides corpus, we can see that the entire text has 24 contract forms of can, which can mean even if. In the corpus of the Pentecontetia, there is none of that, none. Also, with the modal particle an, it can be found only 5 times in the section of Pentecontetia, but 159 times in the rest of the entire work of Thucydides. And an is a negative keyness in the Pentecontetia, the same for the particle ge. And also the particle gar, which can be a keyword in explicative and argumentative texts, has very low keyness in Pentecontetia and higher in the entire work. So we can draw some, I'm finishing here, some conclusions from this experiment. As to the procedure, we need to have some trick ways to get digital corpora in texa files, to select reference corpora, and also to lemmatize the corpus. In addition, to have tools that allows us to mine different kinds of data and or do statistical analysis on that. Now, in the next topic, we are going to annotate corpora with morphological and syntactic text. This, in my view, is an enormous step ahead to help finding relationships among words, clusters, collocates, and patterns. We now have user-friendly tools to manually edit annotations. At the same time, we will need user-friendly tools to explore the data through all the types of annotation that we have. If we edit XML files, we will need an interface that reads and processes the data from XML files. We worked with Anise, which is a powerful tool. but not very user-friendly. If you want to work with your XML files, you have to install the server in your computer, which was not a simple task. Then each time you search a corpus, you have to remember the proper syntax to find what you are looking for. So I hope we have more computer science to help us in development. Thanks to them, so far, developing user-friendly interfaces, and we have a lot of work on editing and annotating and translating texts in our case. So that was all. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much, Anise. Well, it's true what you have said. We need the efforts of both humanists and computer scientists together, because we need to get data. Humanists has to see, to understand, to correct the data, and so on. So it's true. So thank you very much, because here we really have data about the 20 quantity. So it was very, very interesting to see in this list, in this data, these 50 years of Greek history. So it was really an excellent model for how we have to work with our sources. And I don't know if there are questions in the class or among the participants of Sunoikisis. We have, in any case, your slides are in our wiki. So we have the community, and then, as I said, we will have in our last class, we will discuss again the results of this course. So we can talk again about also these things. And Francesco couldn't join the class today, but he's going to see the slides, and then we can discuss again with him the results, because your work is really very, very important.
Thank you very much, Monica.
No, thank you for all the work that you have done and that you are doing in Araraquara with also with your students. So if there are no questions, it's in Leipzig. Leipzig is 6:32 p.m. and so I can stop broadcasting. And, okay, see you next week. Next week we have Neven, and thank you again for this excellent presentation. And goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.